Hi guys. So this is Heidi with Opticom. So we are talking about kind of deciphering the spec sheet on a camera, right? A camera spec sheet. So I've got one here, got my notes, and I've got one on the screen here in the background. You should be able to see. I picked this one just because this one has abnormally larger amount of specs on it than most typical cameras, so we'd be able to cover a little bit more. So this is our TIB2801PX camera, and that's what we're going to talk about. So first of all, everybody see, wait, this side right here, right? Michigan, we're in the Final Four, so I just want to put that out there for everybody. We're representing today here in the office. So here we go. So TIB2801PX. So we're going to skip the features because all of that is actually in the spec sheet as well. And we're going to jump down here. So a lot of the stuff's kind of basic. So image sensors are pretty standard. You're going to have this is a 1/3. It's a 1 by 2.9, but basically a 1/3 inch. 1/4 inch, and you'll have a 1/2 inch that are out there on the market. Effective pixel range. This particular camera is a TVI and an analog hybrid camera. But the things we're going to go over as far as DNR and WDR and things like that is the same across the board for IP cameras, TVI cameras, and analog. So this is going to be kind of something general that can be applicable to all cameras out there and all brands as well. So this isn't Opticom specific. This is CCTV industry specific. So CCTV, closed circuit television, that's what that stands for. So when you think CCTV or you hear CCTV, it's always referring to some sort of video surveillance. Let's see, the image sensor is going to be standard. The effective pixel is going to change for cameras depending on the resolution on each camera. The scanning system will almost always be nowadays, will be progressive. Synchronization will always be internal. The horizontal resolution, right? So this is when we're talking about resolution. This camera is a 1080p, which is the equivalent of a 2 megapixel high definition camera. So this is a high definition image you'll get off of this camera. The video output on this particular camera is an HD TVI, an EX SDI, an HD SDI, and then a CVBS, which is analog. So that means it is all of these are coax options, but you have HD high definition, which is through TVI, and then you have high definition cable quality, like as in TV cable quality, SDI, and then the CVBS is the analog, which is going to put you at, I think 1,000 lines is what they're at now. And again, that will vary camera by camera. So the SN ratio here. Okay, so I've got my notes on this because I haven't actually looked at these in a long, long time. So that's your signal to noise, right? So the number tells you how much signal noise the camera can tolerate and then still provide a good picture. So the higher the number, the better. This is one of those specs that most people don't check anymore because it's standard in cameras to have it at a certain level and higher. So it's not a huge issue. Most cameras out on the market these days are going to always be at a good quality or better. Minimum illumination. So your illumination is how much light is there before you need infrared or before the camera's not going to see anymore. So a 0.02 lux on this particular one is a 0.02 lux before the infrared kicks on. So once that lighting level, so you've got your illumination, and as it gets darker throughout the day, once it hits a certain lighting level, which is your lux level, is whenever it's going to click over to infrared on this particular camera. The iris adjustment, and the sense up, we'll get to that part. It's a little bit farther down. So the iris adjustment is your ALC and then your ELC. So one is auto and one is electronic. So that is basically some of the stuff we're going to talk about, different lighting compensations and things like that as we go through this. This is a adjustment that's through the lens itself. So not only does your camera have adjustments, but on this particular camera, it has adjustments as well to compensate for some of the lighting issues that come up. So lens size, that's pretty straightforward, 2.8 to 12 on this one. You could have a fixed lens, 3.6, you could have a 5 to 100. I mean, it's just whatever the lens size may be. The electronic shutter, that is your shutter speed, how fast it's going to click open and close, so how much light it's going to allow in and out. We're not going to get into that too much today, but that is important on some jobs as you move forward. A lot of processing type jobs where they've got high speed or license plate, things like that have a much different shutter speed than a typical camera would have. OSD language. OSD is your on-screen display. So all of us here in North America are probably going with English, but there's different options on a lot of different cameras and DVRs and things like that. So your backlight compensation, right? So backlight compensation is pretty straightforward. That is the compensation for the light behind you. So if I'm here and I've got, imagine this is a big light that's bright shining behind me, it's going to cast a shadow over my face. So backlight compensation helps to compensate for that shadow to where you can still make out who is in the picture. If you look over here, I'll try to can I highlight this a little bit? So right there, we've got the HLC, okay? And that is your highlight compensation. So that means if you've got a car driving forward and their brights are on, you know how when you have a camera pointed at it, the light just kind of I don't know, it glares almost. So this is going to keep it to where the light is centered in its one spot. So HLC you'll find on a lot of license plate cameras, right? So it's not washing out the picture. And then we're going to get to, well, we can do WDR now. So WDR is a wide dynamic range. So it's kind of the same as an HLC and a BLC, but it's kind of built in together. So I've got some images here that you can kind of look at. So here's an HLC, right? So that kind of shows you the car light, how it washes out the picture and how it compensates whenever you have it on, okay? And then we've got the, I've got the BLC, right? So the backlight, how it's bright coming through a window. And this is going to compensate for it. And then we've got the WDR. So same thing. So it shows you this. It shows you the backlight and how it's still washed out in the back from the lighting, but the wide dynamic range fights both of the battles that the HLC and the BLC have. So when it's got all of them, you can do it. These are settings you're going to adjust if you've got a camera pointed at a doorway that's going to open and light's going to shine in from inside, or a window that's pointing outside a window. These are definitely things that you want to make sure your camera has if you're going to be pointing at any of these types of things. If it's outside where the sun comes down and things like that, these are all things that you're going to want to make sure your camera has. Those are features that are really important when you're talking about high lighting, like natural sunlight. So auto, let's see, where are we? Oh, day night. So day night, that's just a matter of, if it's a day night, that means it goes from color to black and white. All right. These are all the Cliff Notes versions for y'all. The color to black and white. Okay. And then we've got the auto gain control, right? And so this again is going to adjust the brightness level of the video, to keep it at a consistent level. So it's going to automatically adjust, as you go on. White balance, same thing. If you've ever edited pictures like on your phone or, back in the day on your computer, whatever, the white balance is where you can adjust it from cooler to a warmer picture, right? So cooler, I think, goes towards like the yellows, and then cooler goes towards the blues, and warmer goes towards the yellows. So same idea. This just is going to do that automatically. Privacy masking, really cool feature. So privacy masking means that when you've got an image that's pointed at a street, you've got a camera looking outside of a street, you can privacy mask certain things so that it doesn't pick it up. So if you don't want to pick up every car that's going by, you can block that out of your image. So if you want to record on motion, right, and you've constantly got traffic, I mean, you're going to be recording 24/7, you can block that out of the image. Same thing if you're in a room and you're recording a room and there's a fan that always runs, you can block that out of an image. So that way you're not recording 24/7 on there. So that's really important. And then we've got, let's see, so next on there was the WDR, the privacy masking, DNR, digital noise reduction. I'm going to show you a picture on this. Again, so it kind of like shows you that hazy view, and then with the DNR actually on, it clears up that haziness. So that's one. Then we've got smart infrared, so smart IR. What's cool with this is it automatically compensates. So when you've got your infrared on, it can, like how this guy right here, how it washes out his face, it's going to compensate the intensity of the infrared so that it doesn't wash out somebody's face. So it'll make it less intense if they're closer up, so you can make out their face. There's a lot of lighting things that can come up, right? So another one is the, let me see. Oh, defog is on this one. I'll show you that as well. So we've got defog. That's pretty straightforward. It's going to defog motion. You can set the DVR, or you can set the camera to record on motion. A dead pixel compensation is basically going to make up for when you get those little pixels that are dead in there. And then we've got our communication, which is UTC. This means that the OSD is through the cable. So it's not on the camera. It's the little part that comes out on the cable. Digital effects, that means you can make the image a mirror image. You can rotate the image. You can flip the image. You can do all kinds of different things to the image. And then we've got power and operating temperatures. Those are pretty straightforward. So I think that's pretty much it. It's a really short, very fast version of specs, but I hope that helps you a little bit. You can always find a wealth of information online that kind of explains what these are, but hopefully that'll just break it down a little bit so you know what to look for. Again, with windows and doorways, you want WDR. If it's always going to be low lighting, I'd make sure we have DNR, the digital noise reduction. So things like that. So you know what? I hope that all of you have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions, you can always give us a call at 269-966-2900, or check out our website, which is www.opticomtech.com. Thanks, y'all. Have a great day.